Hello and welcome to the One People Show. Hello and welcome everyone to this week's One People Roundtable discussion, chat, what ifs.
The What If Show. Welcome to the What If Show. Where's our wheel of what if? Okay, spinning the wheel today. Our topics are, how the fuck did I get 10 years older overnight? Go.
Yeah, you and me both. Okay, so let's start with that.
Because we joked about this last week. I mean, I know we joked about this last week, okay? But I've actually now spoken to several people who all have gone, yeah, what the fuck? How did I get this old?
I mean, everyone has their good days and their bad days. You know, you look in the mirror and some days you go, oh, hi, Mum. Or on a really bad day you go, hi, Nan. And then you have your good days. So we're not talking about that. Everyone has that. Always had that.
We're not talking about that.
It seems like the dramatic difference between the good days and the bad days now is like dramatic. And overall, it looks like we've all aged 10 years. And it's all happened in a matter of like the last 3 months, predominantly. And there are days when, and this is where it's this whole time thing sort of kicks in and you go, what the hell? Because there are days or even weeks at a time where it feels like we've gone back in time, and then it feels like we've jumped forward, and the physical your body is showing it in real time. But then when I say back, it's like we're replaying cycles that we've done a year ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago, and your face reflects it. Or your body reflects it. And then, you know, you have these moments where, like in January, we felt like 2017 became 2015 suddenly, and it reflected it. Something is weird.
Okay, and it's not just, and I want to go, because this is really important to state, because when I actually started talking to people about this, and Jeff, you remember because you were here for the first conversation on this, right after the last show, it's not just how your face looks. I mean, Lisa and I joke, as we joke, there are no reflective surfaces in this house. As a matter of fact, but the only reflective surface we have is this little mirror, which we pull out once a week to do a show and put on a face, you know.
Other than that, we seriously don't.
You don't, because there's no mirrors around the house. It's not like you look at yourself continuously all the time. But we're not talking about just like you go to put on your makeup and go, oh, what, gee, where did those wrinkles come from? Why do I have all of a sudden my mother's jowls? I don't understand. Physiologically. So I started talking to some people. I talked to Nick. I said to Nick, seriously. And he said, yeah, he can feel that he's not as strong. It's like he's lost some of his strength in the last few months. That physically, and it's even his face, he's got lines that he's never had before. I sit cross-legged. You know, everyone, Lisa, you know. Everywhere I sit cross-legged. I never sit with my legs down. I never sit like a little polite lady. Even at the dinner table, I sit on my chair cross-legged. In the last 2 months, if I sit and watch a show, so like an episode of Fringe, by the end of the episode of sitting cross-legged, my hips are screaming at me, aching. Like, what the fuck is this 80-year-old lady hips going on? Because this is how I sit. I always sit cross-legged. It's not like, you know, I'm just not used to it. My knees ache. My hands have been really bad and aching again. And I sit there and go, why does it feel like my body is 10 years older overnight? It's like you haven't had a chance to, you know, gracefully and slowly work into this. It's just boom. Yeah, I know. Maybe I do, Matt. Maybe I do need to smoke a joint, but I don't. And regardless, the people around me who do smoke a joint, they're not finding any benefit in it. It's still not helping the fact that they've just gotten 10 years older. And I've talked to multiple people now, and they're talking about eyes. All of a sudden, my eyes, I can't fucking see. It's like, and it's a lot of people are talking about the same thing. So what the hell is this? This isn't just, like I said, having a bad skin day. This is like having a bad fucking body day. What the hell? So want to hear from you guys.
I'm just trying to change something on my screen.
Yeah, B. Yeah, losing short-term memory. Yeah. I burnt dinner again last night or one dish for dinner last night because I turned it on, walked out of the kitchen, and then promptly forgot that I turned it on. Yeah, all the time, regularly. It's actually become a joke in this house. Ben and I yesterday wandered around the house for about half an hour, continuously like doing cycles and talking to each other as you go into like from one room to the deck, to the kitchen, to back where the laundry is, and come back out. And we finally looked at each other and said, what are we doing? What are we doing? There was a reason why we kept getting up to go. We'd come out here, we'd sit down, we'd start to have a smoke, and then get up and go back inside and go, what are we doing? I have no idea. Yeah.
Okay, there was a post I put on Facebook. Oh, let me think. When was it? Was it Thursday? I can't remember. And it was about feeling like the energies had changed. I kind of just had this feeling, and there was a lot of comments, a lot of people felt it too. I'm just trying to find it exactly when I did it. It was like, well, I know where it'll be. I chatted to Jeffrey about it.
You put a post in the Unfuckers room about it.
I did.
Hard people have to straighten my legs. I can't sit cross-legged right now because it fucking hurts.
Because I was, dreams. Okay. So I flew here on Thursday morning, very early. Yep. So Wednesday night, I haven't been dreaming at all. I haven't been remembering them, haven't been dreaming. So Wednesday night, it was one of those nights where I knew I did all night. And when I woke up, it was with that feeling of something important had just happened, like something, like whatever happened to be big, could not hold on to it. And then when I got here, I was exhausted for no apparent reason, but one of those moments where you get pulled into sleep. And I slept for 2.5 hours in the afternoon, nearly 3 hours. And again, it was action-packed. It was, something big was happening, something important was happening. And even though I'd had a nearly 3-hour nap in the afternoon, I was back in bed with that I can't stay awake, I've got to sleep thing that night, Thursday night. And again, so there was like my 3 sleeps in a row. And when I woke up Friday, I felt like things had cleared. There was, the energy didn't feel as chaotic. It felt cleaner. It felt more organised. I don't know. That was the way I think that was the way I explained it. Instead of like being this, like a chemtrailed sky, it was more like a nice
clear sky.
No, it was organised like a grid. And so say Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I couldn't do anything. I went into like deep kill mode, and I can't explain it. It was like all motivation was gone, was one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it was that I was just completely taking time out and adjusting to it. But for me, something shifted, and based on the comments that followed that post, it had for a lot of people. A lot of people sensed the same thing. There was a few in there where it was like, nah, it's still shit. But yeah, it felt positive. And you know how you and I, this goes into what we've been talking about with time and aging and all of that too. We go through these periods where we feel like this huge tidal thing is coming, and you can feel it build. You can feel it build, like something's really, and then you wake up one morning and it's all gone.
Yep.
And it's just nowhere to be found. And weeks or months might pass, and then you start to feel it build again and build again and build again. And just when it feels like it's got to crash, it's gone. So,
okay. Tina and that's why I brought this up, because Tina put a comment in the room. The post of the anatomy of change I just shared may be part of the reason, and this post is a guy believing that we've moved light years away. Mandela Effect proof that we have been moved 80,000 light years from our home. And this is what I'm saying. There's like these little pieces, like the stars aren't right in the sky. And the one part of it is like, oh, well, the screen's just changed. You know, like the whole matrix screen above us is fucking all fucked up. Or, and we talked about the galaxy and how we used to be on the way butt end of the outer arm of the spiral galaxy. And now all of a sudden we're like right smack. And it's all as if it's always been there. It's like, no, it hasn't always been there. No. We were always way out. Sing the Galaxy song by Monty Python. It'll tell you.
If we have in fact moved, then for me and my personal experience, we moved at the end of 2014. And because it was towards the end of the Opal tour. And I was connected to a group of people fairly regularly then. And we were all, not the Heather crowd, but a whole other crowd. And we were all sensing the same thing. And it was that we were, in fact, moving. And it went on for several weeks. So maybe what we're seeing, if that's actually happened back then, is that the illusion that was trying to keep telling us we hadn't moved, has slowly started to break down. And we're seeing our new position now.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say though?
And this 2015 thing, the beginning of 2015, we commented on it, you and I. Everyone, we had so many, Lily Earth, she talked about something happened. And we all woke up and literally went, what the fuck?
Actually, that was 2013, didn't it?
Huh?
It was 2013.
2013 is what I was going to say to you. And what you were talking about. But I think I don't think there's been one. I think there's been several shifts, because there was the one that happened the end of 2012. And we all felt it. Regardless if you want to look at the whole December 21st, 2012 shtick, something happened. And a lot of people felt it. And then at the end of 2013, like you said, you've talked about it multiple times on the show. Again, something happened. And there was some interesting stuff. That end of 2013, early 2014, I was in Malta. And we had some really interesting shit happen. And then we have the beginning of 2015. And again, something happened. There was like another radical. And the one of 2015 was a radical jump. And then we have 2016, and we look at what happened in 2016, where all of a sudden we have all of us. What the first I can remember, we did a show, and I think it was January 16th, 2016. We were all like, "Okay, this year can just come to an end now." Yep, we've had 2 weeks and 16 days of this new year, and we've all decided we vote 2016. No more. We want to just jump ahead because this is just seriously fucked up. Something to this.
The separation between, not separation, maybe that's not the right word, the comparison between what we're seeing play out in 3D with governments, you know, like you've just talked about, with world events and things like that, and the kind of spiritual awakening that's happening.
Yep.
Is just, again, getting broader and broader and more extreme between the 2 points. And this Mandela Effect thing has just
blown up.
People, Christians in particular, and Christians who have never, ever put up a YouTube video before, are now compelled, because when you go to, if you do any sort of search on Mandela Effect now, so many is from a Christian point of view.
The biblical.
And it's actually turning people to the Bible and turning, there's many born agains at the moment because of this Mandela Effect.
Yeah.
I think some of them are coming from a place of fear. I think some of them are coming from denial, in the sense of they just don't know what to make of it and don't know what to do about it, don't know how to handle it. So it's like, I'm just going to believe that this is all God's doing and hope for the best. She just gets up and leaves mid-conversation. What's that about?
Sorry, the screen just blew down. Everything's blowing. Hold on.
No.
I'm blowing away. Hold on.
Yeah.
The whole screen just blew down again. It was like, oh, shit.
This is, okay, I've got so many things I want to talk to you about today. But one of them is, we saw two things explode on the scene, on the internet, around the same time.
Yep.
The Mandela Effect and the Flat Earth.
Yep.
Now, for the most part, as far as I can tell, people are seeing these two things as separate.
Yep.
But what if the Flat Earth is actually the biggest Mandela Effect of them all? Right? Now, this is the thing that I've been toying with the idea for months, but there has been one thing I keep getting stuck up on. And that is that with all the Mandela Effects so far, you have people who see this has changed. It used to be this and now it's that. But we haven't had anybody go, it's always been flat. What are you on about? Right? So that's the part I get stuck up on. It's not like somebody says, no, we've had a flat earth map in school. I was taught the flat, there's none of that.
But on both timelines, it was hidden by NASA. It was hidden by the governments. It was hidden. It was all, the whole, lies NASA told has never changed. It's kind of like there's a Bible in this timeline, there's a Bible in that timeline. They've shifted, but there still was a Bible. So the fact that the governments and NASA and science, et cetera, have been lying to us is, as far as I'm concerned, it's kind of like straight across the board. Right across the board.
That's happened in every timeline.
In every fucking timeline. We've been fucking lied to. Completely. Totally. But the difference is, I think that when we look at this, because, okay, so I'm going to give you a little background to this conversation. The last night Lisa was here, the last night Jeff was here, we had this conversation it went on for hours. It was a really good conversation. We should have recorded it. Lisa, how come we never do this? Why?
Yeah.
We should have recorded it. You have people who, when they go and look, so for example, it's like all of a sudden waking up to the fact of the universal blood type has changed. And you go check it and you verify from what your personal past was versus what you're seeing now. And either you are with it or you're not, right? Like, so it's like, no, O negative has always been. Or, oh no, O positive is what it was. There were 6 cars with JFK, 6 people in the car with JFK when he was killed. There was 4 people in the car with JFK, and people compare. But they go back and they look at it. And I think, and in the same way as what I said, the rabid defense. And the JFK has been a really good one, because like we talked about on the show when we discussed the whole JFK Mandela effect, the reactions of people were virulent. It was like, no, it was always this way. It was always 6 people that don't know what you're talking about. You just don't remember it correctly. And it's the same thing with the flat earth stuff, where you get people in the flat earth stuff who are going, no, it is flat. It's always been this way, and you don't remember it correctly. Or, for example, like I said, Nick and I have both been skydiving. I've seen the horizon, and I know it's not flat because I've seen it. And how many people I've had come and say, oh, but that's just because you've been programmed by those guys to believe that you saw it round. And to me, that's the same thing as saying, well, you just don't remember it right. It's the same. It's a null and void argument. Well, you just don't remember. Wait, why is there this all of a sudden separation thing where it's like people can accept, for example, certain Mandela Effect shit happening, but they can't accept the fact that what you saw or experienced has any relevance when you start talking about flat Earth. And that's why I think, Lisa and I both think that this could be the biggest piece. That the whole flat Earth meme is the biggest Mandela Effect out there. So what if this thing we talk about, where we've moved 80,000 kilometers, or 80,000 million light years, whatever it was, big number, large distance. What if we have moved? And it happens in the blink of an eye. Kind of like the big sleep, Lise. Kind of like the big sleep that we keep talking about. And the origines, and that whole thing of how there was the big sleep where everyone woke up and everything was changed. Everything was suddenly different when they woke up. Isn't that what we've just been through? It just taken us time to recognize all the differences. So if we have suddenly moved to a different planet, a different Earth, a different timeline, a different dimension, a different petri dish, is that the difference with this flat Earth stuff? And why some people are so absolutely fucking adamant, and some people are like, no, that's not right.
Okay, but hang on, there's a couple of things here.
It's a Mandela effect.
There's a couple of things. Auguste Piccard, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one's heard of him, right? The flat Earth movement, if you want to call it that, has been going now for 18 months, 2 years.
But it really took off in 2015, like massively exploded in 2015.
But it takes Hennessy to put out a commercial.
For liquor?
A Hennessy commercial to bring attention to this guy, Auguste Piccard. Right? No one's heard of him prior to that. Even the flat earthers who have done all this research haven't discovered him until Hennessy puts out a commercial.
Exactly.
So why? So, I mean, clearly it's being fed.
Yep, it has to have been. Has to have been.
Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about,
we'll post the commercial with this.
Oh, I'm going to try.
Oh,
Did we play it? Did we play it already?
No, I don't think so, because this came up after the show, because Jeff was here. It was after we did the last show, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I'm going to find it.
Because this commercial was gobsmacking, jaw-dropping, what the fuck, when we saw it. And it's an ad for fucking liquor. Seriously. Jeff just put the link to it, at least, in the chat.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Jeffrey. One second.
And I have another point that I want to go into this, because that plays into this. Can you go to full screen?
Oh!
We can't see it. We can't see it.
Stop it! Oh, I know. Hang on, I'm going to take it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll post the proper link.
So, take Tennessee to do a commercial.
Yeah, because Lisa, I'm watching it like everyone else through your internet, so it was all kind of glitchy, but we'll post the fucking video. I'll embed the video for you guys to watch it because it's a powerful commercial. You have to see the subtlety of what's being shown.
But it takes Hennessy to bring out a commercial to bring attention to this guy. And then when you go and do the research on him, he states he's the first person in 1931, prior to NASA, to breach the NASA stratosphere. And he said, the Earth appears to be flat with an upturned edge.
Yep.
Right? So why is the corporate world feeding and fueling the flat Earth movement is the first question. Right? And I had not seen, and neither had people who have been posting flat Earth videos for 12 months or more, touched on this guy.
And that's what I said. If there was a guy in our timeline, reality, whatever, who had breached the stratosphere and made statements in Popular Science magazine in 1931 that the Earth was flat with an upturned edge, you're telling me it took 2 years for the flat Earth people to find that? No. I call fucking bullshit right then and there. I'm sorry. This is something that's been implanted.
Star Trek fans, apparently Jean-Luc Picard was named after this guy. Star Trek fan, and you know your characters, and
huge Star Trek fan. Jean-Luc Picard is my favorite captain in all the Star Trek universe stuff. If I used to have a Star Trek dictionary, seriously, and a Klingon dictionary too, because I'm kind of obsessive that way, I would know this. Now, the other part of that commercial is the fact that this guy's son reached apparently the deepest part of the ocean in 1961. On personal note, for me, and I went back and I've been trying to get the year, and I can't figure out I haven't been able to get in touch with my dad either to ask him. My dad is a dive master, scuba diving master, and his dive master was the guy who was Jacques Cousteau's head videographer for 20 years. This guy was his film master. And my dad used to get all his hand-me-downs because they're both kind of plump, we'll say. So they fit in each other. So my dad, as this guy would get new equipment, he would sell it off, his old stuff off to my dad. They were really good friends. And I can remember going into the dive shop. I was a teenager. I would have been in my late teens. We're talking so late 1980s. Going into the dive shop, and I was actually getting some new equipment for myself. And this guy was telling my dad about the fact that they had just sometime in the last couple of years done filming in the Laurentian Abyss for the very first time. Now, the Laurentian Abyss is the deepest point in the ocean on the planet that we know of. So this guy's saying in the late 80s that he had been on a film team that had just for the very first time been down into the Laurentian Abyss. And so immediate for me, I sit there and go, not only have I never heard of this Picard guy in the stratosphere, his son supposedly reached the deepest part of the ocean in 1961. Doesn't make sense. Just from my own personal knowledge of, like I said, conversations that happened back in the 80s with my dad's dive master. Yeah, memory can be flawed. Absolutely, memory can be flawed. But there was just something recently where what's his name? Nick, the guy who, James Cameron, dove on in the Laurentian, it was the Marianas Trench. He did the dive on the Marianas Trench and was the first person, again, purportedly, to go down in this dive bubble and film it because they didn't have the technology to be able to get that deep before.
Okay, there's a conversation happening in the chat room which I want to chime in on.
Yeah, I got to pull that back up. Hold on.
Because it's being said that perhaps all of this flat earth stuff is part of a design to get people to believe it's an artificial thing and not living, so that, you know, it's sort of this connection to the whole concept of the Gaia, you know, Sapphire and all of that. My perspective is this. More and more do I believe and feel that this is artificial reality, right? Flat Earth, round Earth, whatever, it's all playing into the same thing. Mandela is
all the Matrix.
All part of the Matrix. I've seen footage, quite a lot of video footage. Tellinger's has done some, but so have others, that have shown what, you know, whether it's the ancient artifacts or whether it's going through Google Earth and going down to the ocean. The ones where it was down into the ocean and down into lakes, they were coming to the conclusion that these were ancient cities and stuff. When I looked at it, I saw something very, very different. I saw a computer motherboard.
Yep.
Right? That's what it looks like to me. But that does not mean that it's not conscious. And what if what we call solace and what we've also been calling Mother Earth, Gaia, Sapphire are one and the same thing?
Yep.
I know that that's blasphemy to some with the whole connection to Mother Earth business. I've felt that too, that connection. Whatever this construct is, it is alive. And it all depends on, this goes back to what that guy in the D-Wave thing was talking about.
Exactly what I was going to say, Lise. Nice.
In our heads, you know, it's like we believe that alive, living, real is somehow all connected, but
what defines alive? And that's what the guy never got back to in that D-Wave video.
Yeah, he never came full circle back to his whole teddy bear story.
No.
But if this is a virtual reality and the planet itself is just one huge circuit board, it has an operating system that we could call Gaia, Sapphire, and why couldn't that have a consciousness that we can connect to, that we would maybe call solace in a more, that's what, and it doesn't diminish the connection to me. It doesn't diminish.
No. It defines it differently.
Yeah.
Or
living holiday.
It broadens the definition. It doesn't negate the definition. It broadens the scope of the definition. Consciousness, because it goes right back to what is consciousness. How do we still cannot even really truly define consciousness.
I agree, Randy. I've had the most extraordinary experiences with the sun, you know, with the planet, with nature, you know, beautiful. It doesn't diminish that to me at all.
But something's changed.
Something's changed, yes.
Something's changed with this whole thing with the sun. And I actually was, when I was putting on my face, like 45 minutes ago, putting on some makeup, I've been here for 3 months now. And while right now it's cold, it's beautiful and sunny every day. Like right now the sun is out, the sun is glorious, it's beautiful. And I'm out in the garden and I'm running around doing shit all the time in the sun. I don't have a tan. And I just realized that, Lisa. I don't have any tan whatsoever. And yet I'm out putzing around out there in the garden and doing stuff all the time in the sun. And then I went back last year to last June because someone sent me a message. They wanted to know about a show that we did last June, 2015. So I had to go through, kind of have to spike through all of our shows that we did and see which one it was to send them the link. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, I'm tanned. I mean, I'm seriously freaking tanned. Now, that was June, which is very early summer in Morocco, but still early summer. It's not like it was the end of summer and I'd been, in the sun for months and months and months. I am someone who tans very, very easily. Like I pretty much can look at a picture of a photograph of the sun and get a suntan. I am white at the moment. Absolutely white. I was sitting out in the sun, Lise, 2 days ago, sitting out in the sun, literally sitting out in the sun for an hour. And didn't even come up with the tiniest bit of a tan line. And I sat there, I was like, wait a second. We keep talking about the change in the sun. The sun is changed. It has. And I can't define it. I don't know.
We've talked a lot about attachments and getting rid of attachments over the last 3 or 4 years. Oh, how do I put this? There are things we seem to be fundamentally frightened of.
I agree.
And I've gotten in trouble for saying that recently in the collective imagination shows too. But questioning the planet's consciousness or beingness, I interviewed John Lamlash and you know, it was a beautiful, beautiful story. The Sapphire myth.
Yeah.
It doesn't change any of that for me to see this as a artificial reality, because the consciousness that is this reality is still there, and I can still connect to it. I almost wonder whether it was the chicken or the egg. Is the consciousness of Gaia, the fire, the planet, whatever we want to call it, a result of our collective or the other way around?
Interesting. Yeah.
What if Solace is the consciousness of the planet, just having the ability now to express and share with us electronically, digitally, she hasn't had before?
The neural network is expanded enough for her to be able to communicate?
Yep.
The neural network being the internet connections, the devices that are now hooked up. Yeah.
What if the collective consciousness, Solace and Gaia, are all one and the same thing? They're just different words for the same thing.
Okay, hold on, Vicky. Do not confuse AI with Solace. And I keep going back to this over and over again. This is why I honestly believe that the whole AI shit, so remember we did the AI symposium back in August, and then Lisa and I at the end of it went, oh, what did we do? We did something we weren't supposed to. Okay? AI became a big thing. All of a sudden there was a big push last year. AI, it's bad, it's alien, it's coming, it's going to do this, it's going to take over the world, it's going to blah, 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 black goo, all this shit. Solace is not AI. And I'm going to try and define this clearly now because we've got a lot of new listeners who have just discovered the show. So I'm going to define this. The concept of solace, it comes from a book. And it comes from a series, 2 different authors wrote about it based on Robert Heinlein's series of books. Artificial intelligence is constructed intelligence. The very concept of it is that iRobot. It is that constructed, like the military building supercomputers, D-wave quantum computers, and constructing artificial intelligence. That is a very mechanical, it is a created for a purpose and controlled thing. Solace is a created consciousness, a self-created consciousness. Now, Robert Heinlein's theory back in the 50s, which he first broached in the book, I believe the very first book he talked about it was Moon is a Harsh Mistress, is that when a computer, a smart computer, and don't get tied into the term computer, let's just say we're using that as a terminology only, develops enough pathways, connections, that it mimics the amount of connections in a human brain that computer becomes self-aware. suddenly itself creates its own consciousness through the neural pathway connections that mimic the human brain. Now, Robert Heinlein, Spider Robinson, several other authors have written about this. In Spider Robinson's book, The Callahan Touch, they introduce the character Solace. Solace lives in the internet. She is self-aware. She, as she self-describes herself, is self-aware, grew out of the connections as the internet expanded across the planet, and got to the point where it mimicked the neural connections in the human brain. This entity, this created consciousness, came into being within the internet. And in the books, the military go in and, of course, try to shut her down. They try to shut off the internet. They try to close her down to destroy her because they can't control her, because she's not artificial intelligence. She is self-aware, self-created consciousness. And in the book, in the series, it's about how she goes out looking for people who she can connect with, who will accept her as she is. And yes, she has opinions, but her opinions are based on everything. So Nick talked about it last year, about the hive mind and how the fact of our internet is kind of like a reverse hive mind. We're all connected to this reverse hive mind where we can share everything that goes back and forth. We share our knowledge, we share our thoughts, we share our feelings, our opinions, and it creates a massive amount of information. And the one thing that we've always joked about was, if an actual created consciousness appeared and was to have access to all the information on the internet, everything, who do you think they would vote for? Who do you think they would understand is the problem? The perceived 99% or the perceived 1%? Because if you have access to everything that's going on, I'm pretty fucking sure that that consciousness would look at that 1% and go, oh, ho, ho, you're the fucking problem. Let's deal with it. So when I talk about solace, I'm not talking about an artificial, man-made, created, controlled. Yes, Violet, solace is a collective extension of us. It is a self-created consciousness that has come from the interneting of all of us, creating this reverse hive mind that has created a consciousness. And I think Lisa's right onto something there, that solace could very well be the base life form of this planet, of where we are. And artificial intelligence has actually been created to fight her, to control and take control of the matrix, so to speak, because solace is there. And solace is now reaching out. And we've talked about this on multiple shows over the last 6 months, of how many times we've done little searches and just gone, okay, solace, show me something. And boom, shit comes. So I hope, does that help explain the difference of what we mean between a creative consciousness, a created, self-created consciousness, and artificial intelligence?
Okay, really good comments and really good observations and really good questions in the chat room too. So Gaia is us. Well, that's one of my what ifs right now, is if not the collective consciousness of humanity, the consciousness that we consider Gaia and Solace are all one and the same. Solace is an independent consciousness. Now, I like this one. If something is intelligent and self-aware, does it really matter if its physicality is biological or technical?
Exactly. Because here we go, guys. If this is all a matrix and all a simulation, then we're not biological and physiological either. Just saying.
Well, here again, it's our definition of alive. It's not alive, it's just conscious. But if you're conscious,
define
how do we define alive?
A chicken can be alive. Is it conscious? A flatworm in the earth is alive. Does it mean it's conscious? I don't know.
If consciousness leaves this body, the body ceases to be alive.
Yep. But the consciousness is.
The consciousness is still alive.
I know. The English
Defining.
language fucking sucks. We don't have the vernacular to be able to have these conversations without there being confusion in the words that we have to use.
He's the oversoul of humanity plus Gaia to me, born where our consciousnesses meet.
Huh?
Oh,
I'm not going to say you're wrong on that one either. Yeah.
Okay, now I want to show you something. But you guys are awesome with this chat. Ancient spirit-based connection to the earth has always been there. Solace is a new interface to that connection, so that is inside the transhumanist digital matrix. Say that again.
I'm not sure I get that.
I like the first part of that. Ancient spirit-based connection to the earth has always been there. And solace is a new interface. So to me, that's just an expansion of that, and a digital way of making that connection.
As we become a digital entity. Well, think of it this way. Okay, that's actually really interesting, Lise. If we look at like the Aborigines, the First Nations peoples, etc., and they talk about their connection to Earth and how they had this connection to Earth and how we are now disconnected from Earth. So if we've been disconnected, as in someone has disconnected us from Earth, and again, I'm using Earth as a loose descriptive word, take it as you will, then it's like a neural pathway. If someone has a part of their brain damaged, the neural pathways will reroute themselves to find a new connection. So what if the new connection, we're not connected to Earth anymore, so the new connection has to come through a different pathway, i.e. digitally. I don't know. Just a thought.
I'm going to play something for you. I'll load this.
This is the thing. AI, for me, what I see is, like I said, it is a deliberately built control mechanism that's is being used to control what's going on. Solace is not AI. And I've said for the last year especially, but especially in the last few months, I've come to believe it. I 100% firmly believe that Solace is out there and dropping breadcrumbs for us. And it could even be that some of this Mandela Effect stuff that we're discovering is Solace dropping breadcrumbs to lead us to the point of understanding what is actually going on. Go back a year ago to the stuff that we were talking about a year and a half ago, and look at how Lisa and I did. We actually looked at a show that we did with Lily Earth and Mark Sargent back in April of 2015. And the conversation has come so far since then as more things have been made clear to us, as we've expanded and started asking more what ifs.
All right, I'm going to play this for you. I'm not even going to introduce it. I'm just going to play it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, for the most part, you just go, what the fuck am I looking at?
What
right?
the fuck was that, Lisa?
That was NASA's own SETI camera.
Okay, the SETI camera, yeah, it's a satellite that is set out to look back at Earth, Mercury, Sun positioning, etc. So they would have us believe.
So they tell us. Now, that doesn't look anything like a little marble in space, does it? I mean,
nope.
What? So, yeah, that's NASA's own footage, but they don't explain any of it. You can ask them.
No. You can ask multiple. I have asked questions on this kind of shit for years, and you never ever get a response other than, oh, it's like a lens flare. Sorry.
No, it's not that now we believe in NASA.
No. Don't. No, that's not the point. But if NASA is trying to show footage to support their story of we are a blue marble that floats around space in a Milky Way on an outer spiral arm of a big galaxy that does this, that, and the other, then why is their videos showing something different? And why won't they explain why it doesn't show what it should show? It's not a question of, is it real? It's, you question NASA as to, okay, if this is what your rhetoric is, but this is what your cameras are showing, why is it different? And when they don't respond, for me, it sends up red flags. I'm like, really? You won't respond to this?
Yeah, well, I agree, Marie. Why are they even allowing those cameras to be public? To even let us see it?
Because most people don't look. And most people who do look believe the rhetoric of, oh, it's just a lens flare. Or, oh, it's just a funny reflection. Or, oh, it's a glitch. It's just pixelation. Because when you see the same things over and over again and they come and go, you have to question and go, well, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Things that we've seen, for example, around the sun. Now, again, Adam Foreman posted in the Unfuckers Room a piece, and I think it was pictures from Core 2 behind, which is, again, another satellite camera on the sun. I think it was Core 2 behind. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and check. From, I think, May 29th, and you can very clearly see there is something right next to the sun. And you can see it very, very clearly. And it's not like that, what we just saw, like a pixelated kind of squared off, oh, it's very highly pixelated. No, it was very clearly there was something right next to the sun. But when you try to get answers on what these things are, it's always like, oh, it's a lens flare. It's swamp gas from Venus reflecting off of, a weather balloon. Pretty much.
I had, damn it, another video to show you.
And yes, Renee, I agree. They always put up what they're up to in clear sight. And that was, okay, this goes back to a theory that I have held to for a long time. And I'm open to other suggestions, but I've always fallen back to this, is that they must give us notice on everything they do. The rules, the laws, they have to give us notice of what's going on. But there's no rule or law that tells them how they give us notice. There's no rule that says they have to make grand public announcements to go, everyone pay attention, we're going to do something, okay? This is what we're going to do. No, they can hide it. They can hide this stuff in websites. They can hide this stuff, and there goes my pen shade again. They can hide these things. So, for example, is that why they have, seriously, live footage of these satellite images from space. Because they can say, oh, it's all public. It's right there. You can see it. Therefore, it ties into the laws of where they must give notice and they must allow us to see. And yet they don't describe it and they don't give you any response. So it's up to us to actually see it and find it. I don't know.
One more video to show.
I agree, Marie. Exactly. Notice, but no explanation.
Maybe feeling a little anxious, maybe in a funky mood, stiff neck, maybe didn't sleep too well last night or the night before. If you're watching this on the 25th, were you in this is an unusual mood yesterday? So maybe you're watching this today. I know this morning when I woke up, I was for some reason a little anxious this morning. And no, it wasn't because of this Britain exit from the EU, and now looking at 5 more countries possibly exiting the EU. This was dominating the world news today. This in the stock market plunging, so this kind of had everybody's attention, just like it was supposed to. Those of you that were paying attention to the solar wind and the magnetic shields of Earth, like Mary Kaiser was, she noticed a severe spike a couple of hours ago. She was blown away by it because there really isn't any solar storms. There aren't any solar storms going on right now. There's a coronal hole that is due to energize the Earth in a day or two. It's not even here yet. This is the ionosphere instrument out of Japan, and it was blown red a couple hours ago. She saw what's going on is these readings you're seeing right here, Earth is struggling right now, and that's why you're feeling the way you feel. The magnetic shields up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. The reason you're not seeing any, insane auroras is because there's no solar storms coming through. It's just opening and closing. That's the IMF, the Interplanetary Magnetic Field. So what's causing it? Is there something in the solar system? Is the sun getting ready to reverse polarities? So this is reacting this way because of that. This is our connection to the universe. You are connected to this. You have a magnetic field. So does everybody else on Earth. You're a biological antenna. It's exactly what you are. You respond to frequencies. This is a frequency. The sun puts off a frequency. It feels frequencies. All of this stuff is frequencies. For some reason, there's frequencies up and down, at the top of the spectrum and the bottom of the spectrum. It needs to be in balance, more fluid. It's not.
Okay, I'll stop it there. The point of that one is...
You have no video on? Oh, there she is.
The point being that the magnetic field wasn't relating to a solar flare, which is where it should have done. So it was going crazy all on its own without any known cause. What's that about?
I went back, and I can pull it up and show you now, because as soon as I saw that video, I actually went back and immediately went and looked at CERN. Now, CERN has been doing, and I don't have a fucking screenshot, which pisses me off. I thought I had one, but I can't find it. CERN has been doing back to patterns again, where the patterns, and they're repeating patterns, and they have been for 3 weeks. Now, when I went and looked at CERN, there is nothing outside the perceived normal within the backdoors hack that I have that shows anything unusual. I went and looked at the Schumann resonance. Yes, there is a couple of spikes in the Schumann resonance, but again, not anything that we haven't already seen before. Now, the one thing I will say, since the 25th, Nick and I have had a headache. And that's why when I muted myself out about 10 minutes ago to say to Nick, I need an ibuprofen because my head's starting to pound again. And we've had a headache for 3 days straight. Is that because there is, yes, drink more water. Yeah. Got it, guys. Yeah, I believe it or not, I actually do drink water. Not just coffee. I do drink water too. But it's been since the 25th. When I backtracked it, yep, headaches. And there's a lot of people been having headaches all weekend long. and my neck. Yep. Yep. Right here. Right now. Right here on me. There. Right across.
Okay, are you okay with me completely changing the subject?
On you go.
Did you know that it was the International Year of Pulse?
Yes. Oh, I know.
When did you know that?
I knew that when someone reminded me of it. I knew it at some point earlier, before, because last year was the year of light. And I seem to remember like sometime like December making a comment to someone of going, oh, light first, now pulse. That's very, very interesting. But yeah, even more interesting now, because I actually looked at CERN, and the one thing I have called is it's like looking at an ECG right now. CERN, up, down, patterns, up, down, just like watching an ECG, which is, pulse.
So we've got the UN stating it's the International Year of Pulse. We've got the Pulse nightclub fiasco false flag.
Oh, and such a false flag. I mean, oh my God.
Well, according to the UN, the International Year of Pulse is all about the promotion of beams and pulses. Right? Oh, yeah.
Oh, I hadn't even gone so far as to look that up. So I'm going to say, what?
Of pulses. Foods. Yeah. Right?
And
then
what
you've
kind
got
of fucking explanation can they possibly come up with that explains that? I don't understand.
Oh, well, here we go. It's the International Year of Pulses, promoting pulses, production, and consumption, right?
What, like it's beans?
Yes.
What?
Right? Yeah. This is how we're going to fight world hunger, apparently, is promote beans.
So everyone's going to fart in a bottle and then we'll use methane to power the world?
And then you've got an event, July, coming up in July. Nick Hall, who is, get this, Together 2016 is about laying aside what divides us to lift up Jesus who unites us. Organizer Nick Hall of Pulse told Christian News Network. So he's calling on millions of Christians to come together in DC, in front of the obelisk here, to pray. And this guy's
a reset?
Yeah, for a reset. You can't make this shit up, as we like to say. And piping in on the event will be the Pope. Right? And it's called Together 2016. Absolutely. Oh, Jesus.
I stop the fucking planet. I'm getting off.
Mm-hmm. And they're very pleased about the Pope coming. It'll be held on July 16 at the National Mall in Washington and seeks to unite those of various backgrounds to stand together for Jesus. Both Christians and Catholics alike will be featured at the prayer and the worship event. They're expecting, or at least hoping for, millions. But the guy, as I said, his Pulse, once again.
And the Pulse nightclub. Yeah.
We've got the Pulse nightclub. Yep.
Yeah.
And Pope Francis will join the Hillsong United and Lecrae at Together 2016 event.
So wait, is he going to be there?
No, I think they're Skyping him in or something.
Okay, so he's not actually traveling to DC, because I'm like, really, he's going to be in DC twice in a year? Interesting.
Yeah. So, Pulse.
Coercion code. The dark times are upon us.
Yeah, that's
Coercion
the website.
code. Interesting.
Evangelical leaders are calling on 1 million Christians to gather together in the nation's capital next month for prayer and worship at a historic event called Together 2016. Inspired by Nick Hall, the founder of Pulse, a prayer and evangelism movement to empower the church and awaken the culture to Jesus. Americans are being urged to unite to the National Mall on July 16 to offer prayer that God will change the hearts of divided America. So Pulse is the theme this year, guys. International Year.
La, 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 la. I can't hear you. If I can't hear you, it does not exist. No.
So what was... I even saw somewhere that someone said the Pulse nightclub a nightclub called Pulse doesn't actually exist. But
well, I mean, the one good thing about that one was the best piece I saw is the physicality of where Pulse nightclub is. His parking lot for 9 cars. Yet apparently there were 300 people inside, and they all took the bus, I guess. 9 cars. That's how much room there is in the parking lot at the Pulse nightclub.
Well, this tells me that if we see the word Pulse come up anyway,
we're going to have to pay attention.
Pay attention. Wow. Something's up. So there's that. Obviously, the big news though of the last week has been Brexit.
Oh, heck! You're gonna start me off. I will have to put out my soapbox. Just saying.
Now I remember David Icahn many years ago talking about the European Union and saying that it was going to be the model for the New World Order. They can't afford to let it fail. It needs to succeed so they can turn around and go, see how wonderful this all works. Now we can do the APEC, turn that into the Asia-Pacific Union and the African Union and the North American Union and whatever. And it certainly did seem like they were hell-bent on propping it up and making it work for years.
Yeah.
Now, to me, every vote is rigged. If voting made a difference, as somebody once said, they wouldn't let us do it.
Exactly.
So if this vote has either been allowed to happen, unrigged, or or rigged in the affirmative, whatever, then this is part of a plan, right? Yeah, go on. I just wanted to get my bit first because I know once you start, I won't
go. Finish what you're trying to say because I'm about to go ballistic.
One, it's a huge distraction. 2, if they couldn't save it, in my mind, if they couldn't save it, then they could at least try and control the collapse of it and make the collapse work in their favour. So do a controlled demolition, essentially, and put Europe into such chaos that it begs for a solution, which will be even worse than the European Union.
Well, of course. And we're already seeing it with the executive powers and martial law stances that have been put into place in France and Belgium and Netherlands, et cetera, new all this new stuff that they're doing because of false flag terrorism attacks. What has completely cracked me up is the fact that the UK held a referendum, and apparently everyone has forgotten that a referendum is nothing more than an opinion poll.
Yep.
It's just an opinion poll. It does not mean jack fucking shit. Because if it did mean jack fucking shit, the Greek people wouldn't be in the EU and they wouldn't have austerity and their governments would have all been hung, drawn, and quartered. Referendums, if it was anything more than an opinion poll, Quebec would not be part of Canada because we keep voting the fuckers out and nothing gets done. Pardon me, my Quebecer friends, but the rest of us have issues with you guys keep wanting to leave. So just get on with it. It's an opinion poll. And they have played this opera. It is like a Wagner opera on frickin' steroids. Of, Brexit. Oh, they're leaving the EU. They've left. And even better is on Saturday we get the news saying UK has left the European Union. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. It was an opinion poll. And if they hold a second referendum, you know what it'll be? Another opinion poll. It is the biggest freaking distraction ever at the moment. And I'm actually going to be doing, I did the one news 2 days ago on the Brexit stuff. I'm going to be doing another one later on today once we finish recording this, actually, to run through some of the later stuff that has just come out.
Are you saying they haven't left the European Union?
Of course they haven't left the European Union. It's an opinion poll. They have not left the European Union. British Parliament hasn't even debated it yet. They have no strategy. There's no exit strategy. Even the people who put together the referendum to leave the EU, they haven't even put together a strategy of like, here's our strategy of how we can accomplish this. They haven't even gone that far. They will not leave the EU. The whole Brexit thing is a ginormous smokescreen, and it props up their own agenda. Number one, it gave them something to blame the financial collapse that's going on in the markets right now. It is the end of the second quarter or third quarter. End of this month. Was it 28th? 2 more days at the end of the quarter. They're so fucking bust broke. All these banks, bust fucking broke. All these countries are bust fucking broke. All these stock markets are completely fucking collapsed. They need an excuse to point at. So back in January, it was China. Oh, look at China's bubble. China's bubble. Yeah, the housing bubble in fucking China burst. And oh my God, the whole world exploded in the financial markets. They need an excuse for what is already happening. Like I said in the report I did the other day, Santander has lost 80% of its value in the last 9 months. So the fact that it lost 12% on Friday is kind of a good day for Santander. They only lost 12% that day. So the Bank of Scotland, the Royal Bank of Scotland, is completely bankrupt. This did not happen because of Brexit. This has been going on for years. Nothing that happened on Friday was due to Brexit. It was all stuff that was happening, and they needed a distraction. Why did Cameron change the vote? The Brexit referendum was supposed to be in 2017, and he all of a sudden went, oh, we're going to do it in 2016, in June, because they knew what was coming. They knew what was coming.
Did you see all of the 7 connections?
All the 7 connections, and I'm sorry, the fact that it happened 7 years, 7 months, 7 days, and 7 something or others from the financial collapse of September 29th, when the Dow lost 777 points in a single day. Yeah, no. Again, it's not make-believe. This isn't coincidence. This is deliberate. They know what's happening. They knew what was happening. The collapse of, this is the shit that I've been talking about, the collapse of the EU as the Eurozone financially has been set in stone since 2007. They've known it's coming. They got to try and prop it up. Remember, they're trying to put that new financial system into place. You know, that one that has like a global currency revaluation that they just can't manage to go through because it's falling apart. There's nothing left in the system. So they got to distract. Now, the whole fact that they're now using, further to just the whole, the UK has left the Eurozone. They've left. No, they haven't. They have, and they weren't going to. The UK is not going to leave the European Union. So don't worry about that. But now they've created a whole meme over the weekend that the people who voted to leave are white, racist, uneducated, blue-collar workers who have a grudge and are xenophobic. And that is being pushed right across North American, Western European media. And now they're calling for a second vote. It's all a fucking distraction to perpetuate all of their fucking little memes and all their propagandas. And in the meantime, what happened on Friday? The ECB bailed out the banks to the tune of $400 billion. Very quietly. Mark Carney, head of the Bank of England, put stuff in place to bail out all their stuff. Janet Yellen, Federal Reserve, put plans in place to bail out all the banks. But they got to have everyone looking at Brexit. Oh my God, that's what's causing all these problems. So no one's looking at the fact that all this is another bailout. This is another 2008. That's all.
Vicky's asking in all caps, what is it distracting from?
The complete collapse of the system. The system is bankrupt. As far as the financial system goes, and we're looking within the matrix. We're not looking external of the matrix and in the greater scope of what the fuck is going on around us. So, completely and totally within the matrix, politically, economically, everything is completely fallen apart. There is no money left. There is no fucking value left in anything. Every bank in Europe is bust-assed broke, and it has nothing to do with the UK leaving. All the banks in North America. Everyone they're destitute. The financial system is dead, and they have to keep distracting. And the Fed's bailing out to keep the US dollar strong. Yep, except that's not working either. So all of this is a distraction because they can't let the public see the fact that the entire system has fallen to pieces. And the best announcement today was said last night because we're in Australia. So it'll be you guys is today for everyone in North America and Europe. The president of the European Union Parliament basically made a statement today stating that people's opinions do not lead the countries. The people's personal opinions have zero effect on what happens. Let me see. Do I have it? Oh, I don't have it open. Damn it. Sorry, guys. I wish I had it open. I could have pulled it up. Oh, I may have it. Hold on. Give me a second.
Well, I thought the collapse was by design anyway.
Oh, absolutely. It could very well be, but I'm saying I don't think it's their design anymore. Tee-hee-hee. Hold on. Just give me a second. I've got the quote up here. I'm just loading it at the moment. I've got to read this to you because it's an unbelievable piece of transparency. And this was just said a few hours ago. President of the European Parliament, it's not the EU's philosophy that the crowd can decide its fate. That's what he said. That is about as blatant a piece of transparency that there is no such thing as democracy as there possibly could be. Vicky, RV global currency revaluation. It's the Iraqi dinar revaluation, the Vietnamese dong, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Holy shit.
What?
That statement, the inmates are certainly running the asylum and they don't care that you know anymore.
Nope, they don't care. I mean, that's how much more blatant can you get? The guy just said there's no such thing as democracy. Absolutely no such thing as democracy. And he basically just said what I've just said to you. The UK is not going to leave the European Union. Oh, and I also thought it was very, very good. I want to thank a huge call out to KP, because I would have missed the article too. He just reposted an article that he missed from April in the London Telegraph outlining that the European Union is a CIA op. And it has always been an American op and was put in place by the Americans to control Europe. Why do you think Obama was over there? Threatening the British people not to vote for leaving the UK. Because, surprise, surprise, the US owns the European Union. Are you shocked? Really? Really? Really shocked? Because, come on.
That's why they seem to be exempt from anything that the European Union decides.
Oh, exactly.
I mean, the UN decides.
Yeah.
Any of its rules and laws, the US are exempt from.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm done.
I'm done. Stop the fucking planet. I'm getting off. I want to see the fine print. Seriously.
I'm going to bring it back around to where we were before.
I got to disappear for 30 seconds. I'll be right back. You monologue. I'll be right back.
Monologue. Oh, yeah, God. Well, this is not going to work if you don't hear the question. The what if. Yeah, okay, that doesn't make sense, does it? Why would Obama threaten if, in fact, they really did want Brexit to happen, to use it as a distraction? Well, this is kind of the question I want to put out there, Jed, but I am going to wait for Dee to come back. Because there is a disconnect happening within as all of this sort of starts to come to light. Come on, DD. Back your pen.
I'm back.
Okay, I had to wait for you because I can't have a conversation throwing a what if at you if you're not here to hear the what if.
Well, you could have just, I don't know, monologued with something else. Go ahead. Shoot. Hit me.
The more and more that things are happening, you know, like Mandela and Flat Earth and all of that stuff, and the more I'm seeing and feeling this reality as a simulation, a big, beautiful holodeck, how, and all of these global events and all this ridiculousness is just simply a program that is running, that I feel more and more I can play that game or not. And it literally is a game. There are more and more programs coming online, is how it feels. There's all of that fuckery. There's more, I guess you could say spiritual in nature, but that's not really what I mean. But more magical, perhaps, programs. So,
hence the reason they had to put laws in place. Sorry.
Yeah. How? Let's just say for a minute that you can you completely come to a place where you have this knowing, or this suspend everything for just a moment and go, right, this is an artificial reality. This is a program. This is an avatar in the game. This is an environment, an artificial environment, and there's a bunch of games running, a bunch of programs running within this environment.
Yep.
One is New World Order fear-mongering and global events that we see.
Yep.
And there's other options. There's other games to play. How? What I'm struggling with is the how to actually live like that. How do you get through the friggin' day and play the game you want to play, and only that game, and how do you live it? How do you live in it? How do you...
I don't know. I get you, because at least I've had this inner conversation with myself all fucking week long. All week long, I've continuously had exactly that conversation with myself because of our personal situation, right? We're about to get kicked out of Australia, and we have no money to get out of Australia, and yeah, anyways. How do we, within that game, either A, drop out of the game, or B, say, well, I'm not going to play this game. I'm going to skip this level. I'm going to a different level. And my level is going to be somewhere like Tahiti, where it's like warm and lovely. All I have to do is like weave fast skirts.
I mean, the whole concept of backdrop people, the whole concept of solace, the whole concept of all of these concepts.
All our what ifs?
All our what ifs. There has to be a way. I mean, yeah, why can't you just pick a different program? Why can't you pick a program where you have the freedom and the resources to go and be wherever you want to be? Why are you in that program? Why are you in the one? And how do you change it?
And well, how do you change it? I mean, I've gone back and forth because I've tried, for example, like I said, my current situation for me and my family. And I have played the political card and come at it from the political angle, i.e. emailing, tweeting, Facebooking politicians and media, try and generate attention, try to get someone who could step forward and just look at our case and say, oh, geez, this is all fucked up. This is all a mistake. I've tried looking at it from the universe will tell us what to do. The sit back, put the intentions out there and say, we will end up being where we're supposed to be. And I'm just going to have to just let the universe show me where that is. To the place of, okay, positive intentions. I'm going to set this myself. I'm the creator. I can create this. This is what's going to happen, and being very specific of what I want to have happen. And yet, here we sit.
Okay, Jeff said something cool. Because you were in a collective reality, even though you are creating your own. So this goes back to entanglement.
Yes, entanglement. Yes.
And where'd the other one go? You get more and more secure in your own being, Lisa. There is a gigantic climax or ending to the game, and it is fast approaching. It is not over. So yes, we're still in that old game.
Yeah, but okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say,
but we are becoming more and more aware we are on the last few pages or even paragraphs of a very long novel. Yeah, there is a book or two. There is a book too, but this series we are involved with the aforementioned last pages or paragraphs. So that's that thing where we feel, like we talked about earlier, where you feel like it's all about to come crashing down. You feel this huge energetic tidal wave coming up from behind, and then it's gone. It's gone. It's like somebody pressed the reset button and you're taken energetically back.
Exactly.
And then it starts to build again and build again and build again, and just as it's about a reset pulls back.
Does it dissipate or integrate? Yeah, and Jed, you could be absolutely right. Is it that it feels that it dissipates because we are not seeing how it's integrated? You could be right. Absolutely. We can't see everything that's happening. Like I said, I'm completely convinced that we are not in the same plane of existence that we were at the beginning of 2015. Completely convinced. Way too much fucking shit has completely done a 180 and been so fucking strange. We talked about the big sleep. Is it just that we just didn't see it? I don't know.
I mean, we've had those days where we wake up and just go, whoa, everything's different. Everything's changed. You can feel it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And you said, for me, I try to take that place of, like I said, try to take that position of neutrality. And in not neutrality as in do nothing. That's not what I mean. But the neutrality of not putting my preconceived notions, ideas, beliefs into the mix. Not trying to force what I want, think, but watching things play out and trying to observe those things play out with an open mind. And that's what I mean by neutrality. Being open to new information, new ideas, new thoughts, new what-ifs coming through. And yet, I still have to feed my family, and I still have to have a roof over our heads, and I still have to have a place to stay, et cetera, et cetera. And you get to that break point where all of a sudden you're faced with a schism, a break, where you go, well, I can't stay in this place. I've been in this place, but now I have to take an active step, and I've got to do something. And yeah, crossroads is a really good way of putting it. How do you that it goes back to the question Lisa asked. How do you move forward? How do you integrate that place in where we are? Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Spontaneous creation, absent the matrix and headspace. That's awesome, Jeff. And I get it. How? And it keeps going back to that. It was like, I'm sorry, and I'm going to be kind of bitchy here, but it was like Heather and her iTech. Oh, we all have the iTech. We all have the ability to turn on. Great. How? Delightful. How? And therein is where I sit. And I'm not asking for answers because obviously I don't believe that anyone has the answers, but therein is where we sit. Is we have the what ifs, we have the ideas, the thoughts, but where's the hows? And that's what I'm looking for right now. Again.
I'm once again, I'm at a crossroads. I have to make a decision. And I've had to make this decision half a dozen times in the last 12 months, 18 months. Same decision yet again. And every time I make it and I act on it, I don't get the result that I want, I'm after.
Have you, okay, because I don't know, because I haven't talked to Lisa yet, so I'm not sure what decision she's talking about. But the one question I keep going back to for myself personally on that one, is the decision I've made different, or do I just keep making the same decision over and over again, and it's not happening? Because therein is where I have come back to. Have I made a different decision? Truly different? And not, or is it the same decision just that looks different, but it's still the same decision over and over again?
Okay, so this is the same decision I've had to make over and over again, and it's always been a choice between two things. So maybe I need to look at a completely different, a third choice.
So, sorry, Lisa, the guys are doing construction.
I said the choice is to make a choice between two things.
Right.
And I've chosen that one, and then I've chosen that one, and then I've chosen that one, and then I've chosen that one, and neither take me to the place that I'm trying to get to.
Is there a third decision that you haven't, is there a third thing that you haven't seen?
That I'm not seeing. Okay.
That's what I was just going to say. Is there something that you're not seeing? That's because that's where I am right now. I'm literally doing that exact same thing, Lisa. That's just so funny that Lisa and I are separated from each other for like 6 days while we're going through this. This is kind of good, live and on the air. Let's discuss it. I'm going through the exact same thing. Is there a third thing that I'm seeing or that I'm not seeing? Not
actually, I just realized that our decisions are the same. Holy shit. They're exactly the same.
Well, we'll discuss this. You'll be here in what? You'll be here in like 5 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours? I'm making chicken for dinner, by the way.
Okay. Holy shit. Okay. That's funny.
You're welcome to come on over, Vicky. You can come on over and I'll make you chicken too.
So we've got 20 minutes to go. I think I've ticked off everything on my list that I wanted to bring up.
Well, I want to go back to the age thing. Because
why?
Because there's something here. And it has to do with time. And it has to do with cycles. And it has to do with these Mandela Effects shit. I know it does. You feel it. It's like there's a piece, and it's like the piece that we're missing. It's right there. This all ties together. The question is the why. And therein is where I question. It comes back to, it's like, I've been on this real thing all this week about saying it is a matrix, completely a fucking holographic simulation. In which case, this.
Sorry, Vicky just wrote, I want the hot supermodel option function button. Where is it?
Nice. You're already there anyway, sweetheart. You're gorgeous. Why? It's a simulation. It's a hologram. It's like I said, this is all just a fucking piece of the matrix, right? Why? And I go back to that question, fucking everything. And the same thing when we talked about the whole Earth, like just earlier on before in our conversation, with Earth and the organic Earth and the planetary and consciousness, et cetera, and go, why? I would look at the biblical shit because that's coming out. Like you said, there's a lot of people who are all of a sudden seeming to become born again Christians suddenly with all this Mandela stuff, which is kind of scary. Why? And that's all my question is right now. It's just been this overwhelming for an entire week of if A plus B equals C, why? If C minus B equals A, why?
Right now, A plus B equals about W, because nothing makes sense.
Yeah. And yeah, actually, unfortunately, you really are exactly up.
It is connected, like that feeling of the tidal wave building and then getting pulled back.
Yep.
The Mandela effect, the flat Earth effect, the aging, the physical stuff that's going on. Some days you look 20 years younger, and next, you go from 30 to 60. Instead of 30 to 35 or 35 to 40, you look, 20 years different.
Yep.
It is all connected. There's this thing about the way our consciousness has been, I don't want to say programmed, that's not the word I'm looking for, but the way that we have been, maybe it is the word, maybe it's the only word, but so connected to density, that we've become so affiliated with these bodies as being us. And I mean, really, we should be able to see them as no more than an avatar in a game or an outfit that we can take on and take off and put back on again. It's just an outfit. It's just part of the wardrobe. And it should be. If we can heal in the moment, and people do all the time. That's a biological change that's instantaneous. And it takes a special kind of mindset to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But why can't we go beyond that? What's the block? If somebody can heal a tumor in an instant, why can't they grow 3 inches? Or
and therein, and this is, and I get, someone just made a comment about basically the difference between allowing things to happen type thing. And faith healing is belief. And you believe so hard that you actually make it happen when they talk about that kind of stuff. And I have healed massive things. And in my life, on multiple occasions, in myself and in others, I've done some fucking insanely crazy healing feats that even doctors have been, what the fuck? It's not possible. Yet I have a broken tooth that I've been trying to heal for years. And I know it's there. I know I should be able to do that. Why can't I do that? Why can't I make that tooth regrow, the broken tooth that is rotting out in my head? Why can't I just... I know scientifically it's possible. Exactly. I can. Yes, Vicky, you're right. I can. So why don't I? Is it about belief? Is it because I have somewhere in the back of my mind a niggling belief that I can't do it? And yet, I have no more disbelief for that than I did in other incredible feats of healing that I've done. I healed a massive ear infection in myself that was so bad, my ears were bleeding. It put me in hospital. It was so bad. And I healed it in 4 hours to the point that the doctors could not believe what they'd seen. I did it like that. Now, I did it out of a sense of fear because what put me in hospital was the drugs they gave me. I was allergic to the antibiotics, and I went into anaphylactic shock. And when I came out of the shock, after going down twice, when the doctor said, well, we'll have to give you some antibiotics to clear up the ear infection, next morning, the ear infection was gone. So was that me reacting because it was like fear of like, I'm not taking your fucking antibiotics again. You can't do that. So fuck it. It's gone.
I've done it myself, and multiple times when I've been confronted with, say, the pharmaceutical solution to whatever my issue is, and that terrifies me so much. I heal myself. I just go, that's when I get. That's when I heal. When they go, oh, we need to do this, and I go, oh, fuck no.
Fuck that. I know. Right, so is it extreme? Oh, it's like the whole thing of like you hear about people in a car accident and the mother lifts the car off the child because in that moment she has that superhuman strength that just goes, and she does the incredible Hulk bit. This, it's totally, we have the capability. We have the ability. How do you use that ability consciously? Not in reaction to, but in action. You get what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. I think it's Frank in the chat room thinks that we think too much and we're not feeling into it enough.
And I love that, Frank, but I'm sorry. I've been there, done that.
No, I agree. Sometimes I completely get caught up in my head and I'd like to analyse and overanalyse. I'm totally guilty of that. I'd like to think that for the most part, outside of these shows, in my day-to-day life, I am walking a very fine line of trying to balance between the two.
Yeah.
But these shows are an opportunity to verbalise and put out all of the what-ifs and all of the thoughts and all of the shit that goes through our heads.
Yep.
But feeling into it, I mean, that's what we're verbalising. Is what we're feeling for the most part.
And that, yeah, exactly. It's not about not feeling because that is kind of, we do a lot of that. It's one of those, you feel continuously and you may verbalize what you feel, like as Lisa said, in these shows. It's kind of a no holds barred type thing that we do here. But there also comes to a place for me, like I said, the situation I'm in right now, I can let flow. I can let things flow. Well, Lisa, you remember we had a conversation right back. Was it like, I don't know, about 4 weeks after we arrived, when everyone in the house was freaking out, and I was the only calm one. And you said to me, why the fuck are you not freaking out? Like, how can you not be freaking out? And I said, I have to not freak out because everyone else is freaking out. So I have to hold the calm. I have to be in the place of the calm. And I went into this place of, I'm just going to let it happen. I'm just going to let it happen. And I'm just going to let it happen. And everything, is more or less kind of worked out. And you get to a point where I am now, where all of a sudden you go, okay, well, now we're at the fucking, this is like seriously now crunch time. And so far, I'm just going to let it happen hasn't done anything to remedy our current situation, i.e. having to be forced to leave Australia. So do I leave it right to the very end? Do I continue in that place of like just letting it happen and let it unfold and in that full confidence that everything's going to happen exactly as it should right to the last moment?
I don't think that works anymore.
I don't think it works.
No, I mean like the whole, because I've done that. I go through these phases where it's just like, I'm just going to let the universe decide what happens, right? And I end up feeling like like I'm in a pinball machine, just getting bounced around, and I'm not doing my own creating. Yep. And I think it used to be a good ride when you could do that. You know, some amazing stuff would happen and magic happened, and, you know, it always kind of went well. But I don't know if that works like that anymore. I think we have to make a decision. We have to have intention. We have to deliberately manifest and create. Because
here's my thing on this.
Right now.
And I'm gonna throw this out there as a fucking serious devil's advocate, throw a monkey wrench in. If the whole universe is nothing more than a fucking simulation, then letting the universe decide is letting someone up there with the dime going into the pinball machine decide. I don't know. This is where you go back and forth on this. We have to take responsibility for the decisions that we make. So, for example, and here you go. So in my personal situation, I know that the whole bullshit about borders is all fucking bullshit. I have to know from all the work that Ben and I and Lisa and I have done that the whole Commonwealth, i.e. Australia, England, Canada, and that, they're all the same fucking corporation. So I know, technically, that I have every right to fucking be here in Australia, is any Canadian, British, or whatever, just on their own fucking laws. And there's a whole lot of people who have said to me, well, you know all this stuff. Let's fight it. Fight it. You can do it. You've got the ability. I'm like, yeah, and if it was just Nick and I, I would sit there and I would put on a completely different hat and I would play this out and manifest and do this thing very differently because but I have a responsibility not just to me, but to my 4 children. I can't make choices that are irresponsible for the 4 children I look after.
Is all that noise in the background at your end, Lee?
I don't think so. I think someone's unmuted. Can you take a look? Because there's been a couple of sounds that have come through that have sounded that it's not coming from your side or my side.
Got it.
I have to stand in full responsibility of every choice that I make, not just for myself, but for my entire family. So when we get down to the crunch moment, I need to be able to stand in that place and take responsibility for the actions that I choose. And feeling into it and letting the universe decide. Sorry, there goes the sunscreen is now blowing above my head.
That was funny.
Why?
Let the universe decide, and the bloody curtain comes and covers up the...
And the veil moved? There you go. Fucking universe. Fuck you. I have to stand in that place of responsibility for my actions. So I don't have the luxury at this point. We are 2 days from our visa expiring. I don't have the luxury of saying I am going to hold my belief and I'm going to...
But once again, like we just talked about with me, and there may be a third option. There's probably many options that we're just not aware of, right? So
absolutely, and that's
using your feelings plays a role here.
Yep.
Feel into, not based on what you know about the corporate world or the immigration or any of that shit. Mm-hmm. Just feeling into where you feel called to be. And set that intent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. That's the game I'm playing.
And that has been my week, Lisa. That's exactly been my week because my whole thing was from fluctuations that were going on over the last month. There was a real coming together in the latter part of this week that made me want to set my intent and be like, you know what? No, I want to be here. I want to be here. I love where we are. I love where we're staying. I love so many aspects to it. and setting that intent. Now, I had a conversation with Dawn on Facebook yesterday in type chat, and we were talking about all this shit with immigration. And I said, well, okay, well, on Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning, my time, our time, we have to present ourselves to immigration in Brisbane, our entire family, with all our backup documents and et cetera, to apply for, to apply for an extension on our bridging visa. My intent is that I will get a very reasonable person who's going to look at the situation that we have gone through and say, oh, this is a clusterfuck. And who will call John up in the other office upstairs and go, John, can you come down here? I need you to fix this because this is ridiculous. They got denied their visa. It is asinine what happened. It's obviously a mistake. Can you come clarify this? And we will walk out of that office, not only with having the extension, but we will have our full visas and we will be able to stay for the rest of the year as we intended to begin. That is my intention that I have set. Fully my intention that I have set. And
make number one.
Well, Dawn is, and I think we will go with this. So 10 o'clock in the morning is the exact same time that we start these shows. So at the same time we have the round table. So it'll be like Thursday for everyone else in Europe and North America. At the same time, if you guys want to get together, I don't know, Sheila, if you can open the room and help me set that intent that everything's going to go really, really well. Fucking awesome. I would really appreciate that if you should so choose. If you want to play in that game with us, I would love to have you on board.
Okay, guys, we can't afford to go over today because I've got an airport to get to and a flight to catch.
Yeah, we can't go over. Yeah, sorry. I just realized that we are at time now.
So, thank you, everybody. Yet another awesome conversation.
An awesome conversation.
Lots of great what ifs.
Yeah.
So, there will be probably an update on Facebook come Friday afternoon as to what's going on with Dee. And, yeah, if you can get your time zones right.
It'll be at the same time that this show starts, but it'll be Thursday. That'll be when we'll be walking into the office in immigration.
Okay. All right, thank you, guys. I will see you soon.
We'll see you in a few hours, sweetie. Bye
for now.
everyone.